Hey guys, back in the garage for a little bit. Got a few projects to clean up on the Model A. I really want to get this body off the car, sitting on the ground or on some blocks next to it. Coronavirus or no coronavirus or social distance or not, I'm going to figure out a way to get that off. Park it over here because I've got to get up working on the chassis. Once I get to that, man, it's just a bunch of final welding, cleaning that up, and then painting the chassis and putting stuff together, going the other direction with it. Before I do that though, I got a couple things I want to knock out on the body. A few of them. First one, when I rolled this car out the other day and eyeballed it, I took some pictures and looked at them, I realized this sits a little bit higher than I want. And as I was trying to figure out why, it's because I've got more gap in here than I anticipated. So I don't know if I didn't pay attention when I was putting it in or what. But that gap can translate into it sitting that much lower. And it all depends really on how much. I don't want to drill another hole in the outside of it here. I will if I have to, but I'd like to just see if I can move these holes down about a ½ inch, which seems to be about how much gap I have there, and just set this down a little bit lower. In order to do that, I need to just come down here to the bottom and just trim however much that is out. Okay, so that is one project I need to do. I need to build a fan shroud. I can do that now, or I can do that after the car is taken apart, painted, put back together. Not going to stress that one. I don't like how this kind of sits at a slight angle up. I don't know if you can tell, but the way it bolts from here to there is slightly up. But if you also notice here, the way this bolt is on the bottom, I think I can just reinstall these flipped over and it might bring that down enough to make me happy. A couple other little projects I need to do before the body comes off. One of them has to do with my brake pedal. When I got it all in here, probably could use some light, huh? There we go. When I got it all in here and I put my brake pad on there, or whatever you want to call that thing, my pedal, the rubber on there, when at full smash it was too close to my steering column. So this has to move over that way, that much. I don't know if you can really tell, but if you look at it, that brake pedal's all kind of mangled and winged, got a wing to it anyway, so I'm gonna heat it up and straighten it. While I'm at it, I'll give it just a little bit of a kick, just here at the top, just a little kick that way to keep it out of the steering column. And then the other thing I got to do with it is right here, the way this slot's here to get the brake pedal to slide on and off the shaft down there, but I don't think I need this space, so I got to put myself a piece of sheet metal in here. And then what I'll do is just put a rubber, like a boot or a piece of rubber on each side for it to slide against there for daily driving. So okay, so that has to get fixed. The next thing is here on my shifter. I have this spring that I put in, which is essential to keep the shifter in the right, I'm sorry, I'm not looking at it, right place, but this spring wants to try to jump out every once in a while. When I work it, it tries to go that way. So I'm going to build myself a little sheet metal cover that goes over it. You kind of slide the spring back in and pop it into position, and we'll just keep it from walking out. So I got to build that thing and then trim that metal up. On this side I have it marked. I've got to trim that metal up to match the other side too. If you didn't watch the video how I built this, it may not be the best video, but you get all the background you want on it. So there you go. So that has to happen. That will mostly happen. What else needs to get done before I take this apart? I got my wood to put in here, but that doesn't have to happen. That can happen once the body's off. So those are the projects I got to tackle. I'm going to start with my brake pedal, fiddle with that today, probably get the shifter on there, and try to get my radiator shell to sit down. Actually, I'm going to start with that because that drives me the most bonkers. All right, see what we can do. Okay, well, there it is. That's the end result of dropping my radiator shell down 1/2 inch, and you could tell here before it was well under, the radiator cap was well under it, and I also just about got it as low as I could there. I don't know how much of a difference that makes and how it looks. I haven't pushed it outside and looked at it, but well, it is what it is. Can't go much lower, so that's going to be how that is. Let's move on now to, tell you what, I'm going to do the shifter. I'm going to build a little piece of sheet metal for the shifter because I don't want to quite lay under the car yet to do the brake pedal. See if we can knock that out. Okay, my shifter. This should be a pretty quick fix. This spring likes to try to jump out this way, so I need to use some sheet metal and build myself a little trap for it like that. It doesn't have to cover the whole thing or be too complex, just enough to keep it where that spring won't jump out. And I think I can still mingle my way in and out of there if I need to replace the spring or put a new one in. So with it in park all the way forward, I've got it, it's got to be about there. And then when I come back to low, it's got to be at least about right there. Okay, so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. Out and up and in. Now I just got to get my measurements. Looks like if it's about 2 inches long, broke at both ends where I can tack it in. I dug through my scrap pile and found this piece perfectly suited for the job. I'm gonna go make some bends, fire up the old welder, see if I can tack that thing in place. Call this one complete. Okay, here we are. You can see I made my trap for it there. I just took some of that sheet metal and broke it, tacked it in here and here, and when I get this bracket off I can finish tacking it on down there. But you can see how I trapped that spring in there so that now it won't try to jump out on me out of the top or the bottom there. Okay, well, I think that project's done. The next thing to do now is to mess with my brake pedal and do a little bit of a tweak on it and another tweak on it because it's kind of crooked like this, so I need to heat it up in here. Right in here needs to be heated, and then the top turned a little bit this way, and then what I'll do is about right here I'll give it just a little bit of a break that way, so up and over, and then I'll have to measure exactly how much space I need there. Alright, we'll knock that out and call this a day. So I've got my brake pedal tied into my vise here. What I need to do now is just take my torch and I'm going to heat it right in here. The trick is with heating it is, you know, you heat as much as you want to bend. That makes sense. If I wanted a nice slow bend, I'd heat a big chunk. But I think I'm just going to heat a nice red spot about 2 fingers width and then give it a little bit of a pry out, and that should do exactly what I need done with this. So we're going to fix it with fire. Okay, I think I had pretty good success today on these little projects, the little ankle biters as I call them, that I needed to get knocked out. Check it out, here's how he came out on the brake pedal. After doing the little bend to it, you can see that it clears my steering column there. just fine. And then I was able to come in here and build this patch that I'll finish welding in here, and I'll grind that all down. This has to be here in order to feed the brake pedal through from the bottom, and I'll just put a piece of rubber, like I'll probably pop rivet some rubber in there that kind of overlaps to hide all that and not let any road grime, hot, heat, all that good stuff come up through the floor. So to recap today, shifter, I got my spring trap on there to kind of finish that up. Brake pedal, adjusted it, put the floor in around it. Radiator shell, lowered it down so that it fits a little bit better. I think that's good. I'm gonna call it a day. Let's hang it up, head in for dinner for the night. Do me a favor, like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Thanks for watching. Help me build this community together. All right, thanks.